People. We are back here again with your best radio station in Rockland County with Groove FM at the Spring Valley Marketplace here today. And we are sitting with Senator Bill Weber, who has the endorsement of basically all the unions, all the police unions, all the fire unions, all of them have been endorsing and supporting this man right here, and we're going to find out why today. Mr. Bill Weber, nice to have you.
Great. Good morning, and good morning, everyone. It's great to be on Groove FM today, and right here in the village of Spring Valley at Food Fair. You know, it's important for people to get out and vote, whether it's today, early voting, tomorrow, early voting, or actual election day is November 5th, but there's opportunities for everyone to go out and make your voices heard. And, you know, we always say as a cliche that this is the most important election in our lifetimes, but it really is. It's where do we want to go as a nation? Where do we want to go as a state? Where do we want to go in our local communities? So I encourage everybody to go out to vote at your convenience, whether it's today, tomorrow, or Tuesday, to really make a difference. And you're right, we've been endorsed by almost all of the police unions, both locally and throughout the state, as well as the local building and trades and various fire departments and other organizations as well. You know, I think that's just a testament of the great work that we've done in our first 2 years in office. And we have a lot more work that we want to get done, but it's going to require everyone to come out and vote. And we feel really confident that on Tuesday we will be rewarded for the great work that we've done over the last 2 years.
Perfect. Now, thank you for that. And I know that you're going to have a lot of new constituents looking at this audio and video. What is that one thing that your campaign is running on this year that might be able to push you over the edge?
Well, I think the first and most primary responsibility of a state senator or any elected official is constituent services. The one thing that I instilled in my staff and instilled in letting people know about what a New York State Senate office should be doing. We're a government resource first and foremost. We're proud to have closed nearly 1,700 constituent cases now. And that's people coming into our office having issues with any New York State related matter. So if it's Department of Motor Vehicles, whether it's Department of Labor, whether it's unemployment benefits, whether it's getting help getting a wheelchair for a young child who is being denied on their medical plan. There's so many things that we do in our Senate office to help the lives of our constituents. So I would say that's what I want to continue. Not only throughout something that I've instilled in my office this first term, but throughout my terms in office, I want to make sure that we are responsive to the needs of our communities. There's a lot of things that we need to do and focus on at the state level, making sure that we bring back historic education funding, which we've done in the 2 years that I've been in office, bringing back more money for our local roads and infrastructure, which we've done in my first 2 years in office, and other great projects that we need to fund as a state. But in terms of local governance, we need to make sure that we're responsive to our residents, and that's why I'm proud to be 24/7, 7 days a week, going to all different type of functions, coming to events and listening to people. And that's what politicians, I think, in the past don't do. They talk, but they don't listen. And I make it a point to go to as many functions throughout every corners of my community to listen to what people are concerned about and they're at the most local basic level to make sure that we can make those positive changes.
That's key right there, because my father used to say, you got 2 ears and 1 mouth, you should do twice as much listening. So that was great that you said that. With Rockland County, is there that one thing, because I feel like we've been overlooked. We are considered upstate New York, but is there that one thing that you see that could help bring Rockland to the glory that I used to remember?
Well, you're right. Rockland, as I like to say, Rockland is like the redheaded stepchild in this state. We're kind of in the middle of upstate and downstate.
Right.
We're kind of a cut through for people in New York City going upstate New York. But what we need to do is, I think, have a continual voice like myself who is a bipartisan elected officials. I have the most politically diverse office, I think, in the history of the 38th district.
Wow.
At one point, I think I had half my office as Democrat. and others are Republican and conservative. I wanted this office to be reflective of not only the political diversity in this district. I also have two Haitian Creole-speaking members within my office itself. I have a Spanish-speaking constituent services director. I also have someone who speaks Yiddish as well. So I wanted our office to not only be bipartisan, but also be culturally representative of this district, and I'm proud of that. But we need to make sure that someone like myself, who will cross party lines when I need to get things done for our district, but also be that loud voice in opposition to some bad policies. And, we've seen congestion pricing as a big issue locally here, where New York City basically wants to make the residents of Rockland and the suburbs pay for improvements to their rail lines in the city, not to upgrade our own services here, because we know how difficult it is needed. When you live in Rockland, you basically have to drive into New York City, whether you work, whether you're going for entertainment purposes, because there's no consistent or good way to get into the city. There's no one-seat ride. So that congestion pricing is something that I fought back against, along with County Executive Ed Day and some of the local supervisors. And we got the governor to put it on pause, and we hopefully will get her to cancel it entirely, because New York Rockland residents can't afford an additional $5,000 a year just to go into New York City. And you got to pay the toll, you got to go park your car. So that's a big area of concern. And affordability. We know how expensive it is, whether you live here in Spring Valley or whether you live anywhere in this county. It's almost impossible for a young family or an older couple to buy a house in the county now. It's so expensive. And not only that, the rent prices, somewhere it's upwards of $1,500 to $1,700 for a one-bedroom apartment, and if you're going into a 55 and older community, it's probably $4,000 a month. So, as a state, we need to make sure that we recognize that and actually do something about it. It's been talked about for probably 10, 20 years, but it's not getting any better. And we need to make sure that we somehow incentivize with tax credits or other state incentives to make sure that those affordable housing, or housing that's affordable, I like to call it, is available so that people can afford to live here.
Perfect. Now, is there three things that you've done that you're really proud of? And out of those three, which one of those would be like that one thing, if you retired today, that you'd be proud to hold your hat on?
So what I've as I said earlier, to be responsive with our local communities, I've focused on getting important local bills passed first, because I know that those are the most impactful. So, I consistently go to the various town boards to ask them what are important to them. In Clarkstown, the hotel occupancy tax was important to them, and that was an additional source of revenue. Again, I'm not in favor of new taxes, but the town board came to me and said, "Hey, we want to have a new revenue stream so we can, use that for improving the local infrastructure and for tourism." So they wanted a hotel occupancy tax, which is a tax that people from outside the district will pay to come stay in a hotel. So it's not local residents here in Rockland paying that, but it gives an additional revenue source to Clarkstown to build parks, to do infrastructure improvements. Town of Ramapo asked us to do the same thing, and we did. In Orangetown, Teresa Kenny, the supervisor, wanted a local Orangetown preservation bill passed. We got it through the Senate. It didn't make it through the Assembly this year, but it's something we'll advocate for, because I want to be responsive not only to our residents, but to our local officials as well. We also really focused on busing. So busing has been a challenge for not only the private school community, but for the public school community. As the highest tax county in the state and arguably in the country, people should get the basic services that they need for their children to get to school, and that's whether you go to public school or private school. Those services should be available, and we've heard of so many struggles of both private and public school communities saying that the busing is not up to the standards that they need. They have to end up driving their kids to school sometimes, taking time off work to go pick their kids up. So I've really focused on those basic issues and potholes. When I came into office, one of the biggest complaints we got were the conditions of our local roads. And listen, you go drive down some of these state roads on 45 and 202 and 59. If you hit those potholes straight on with your tire, you're going to get a blowout and you're going to have damage to your car. So we, as our office, we didn't care if it's a state road, local road, town road, village road. Those agencies do. And trust me, previous elected officials would say, that's not a state road. That's not my responsibility. Well, I said, you know what? I drove these same roads, and I know my neighbors and friends and constituents do. So we set up a portal on our website where people can report any pothole, no matter what road it's on, and then my office communicates that to the local jurisdictions to get them repaired. Because at a basic level, we should have great roads for the taxes that we pay, and we want to make sure that those roads not only get repaired, but that there's continual monies that come into our district from the state, real sizable money that will improve those roads, maybe widening those roads in certain areas on Route 59 and other areas where we see the congestion of cars really impacting the traffic. So those things I like to keep in back of mind, but that's my focus. My focus is to represent the residents of Rockland County at its most basic level, and if that's potholes, we focus on it. If that's education aid, historic education aid coming into our district, I focus on that. And we also want to make sure that we have safe streets, and that's why we need to support our law enforcement, and I'm happy to have law enforcement backing, because I think everybody agrees that we want safe neighborhoods no matter where you live, and that's a basic expectation of government. So I'm proud to have accomplished all those things, and will continue to advocate for and fight for the residents of this district.
Perfect. That's well said. Little things like that go a long way. You don't understand how a pothole could change your day. Awesome. With the heavy Haitian and Spanish communities we have here in Rockland County, is there any plan to show them that they matter?
Sure. So you're right. We have one of the largest Haitian diaspora in the country here in Village of Spring Valley, Nyack, and some areas in between. But in the 38th district as a whole, that's what I said earlier on. I recognize the fact that I have a large Haitian community, which is why I currently have 2 Haitian Creole-speaking people in my office who are developed and devoted to constituent services. We didn't want a language barrier to come in the way of people wanting to call and come into our office to get the basic levels of government services that they need. So we made it very comfortable for them. We have Lionel and Marley who work in my office full time in constituent services, not only taking phone calls of questions, but actually going to many community functions within here in Spring Valley and throughout the county. A lot of Haitian community events that they go to really make sure that our office is available to let the Haitian community know that we are there as a government resource to help them with any New York State related matters. So I recognize that on day one, and that's why I focused on making sure that my office was reflective of this district.
Now, I know we're going to get down to the last question here. You do have places to be. Thank you for being here with us. My final question is on small businesses. We have a large entrepreneurship and diversity with our county. A lot of us, my age and even younger, are starting their own businesses and everything like that. Is there any focus on funding, getting access to capital, making the barrier of entry a little lower than what it is now? Is there any look for that?
Yeah. So just a little bit about my background. So I'm a certified public accountant in New York State since 1994. I've also been the CFO of a golf course and real estate development company for 24 years before taking office 2 years ago. So I know the struggles that small businesses are going through in New York State. It's hard to start your own business. It's hard to navigate through all the complexities of New York State regulations and tax code, because I was the CFO of a medium, small-sized business, New York and New Jersey business. So, I've taken that experience to Albany because I know the red tape. I know all the requirements and the cost of running a business and starting a business. There are programs available at the state level, at the federal level, through the Small Business Administration. We've also given and really focused on as a state agency, as a state government, to make sure that there's programs available and tax credits available for people that want to start their new business as well. So we'll continually do that because I know And as you know, you talk to anyone starting a small business, it's very difficult to get it started. It's going to cost you thousands of dollars to hire an attorney and thousands of dollars to hire an accountant, which is money that takes away from you capital needed to start the business, and it takes away your focus of what you want to do with your small business to begin with. So again, there are plenty of programs that are available. I encourage anybody listening today to call my office. We can give them a big information sheet as to what government services are available to help out, what tax credits are available, what bank loans and small business loans are available at the state and federal level. So we're here to help any small businessman or woman with assisting them in starting their business as well. So we want to focus on getting new businesses to start here, getting entrepreneurs to put their money at risk, which we know it's a big risk for people to go out on their own. We want to encourage businesses to start here and to stay here. As I said earlier, it's very difficult to stay in this state, the cost of living and the high taxes, but we need to do it as a state to be more business friendly, which we haven't been for a long time due to the regulations and the high cost of taxes and cost of running a business. So there are plenty of programs available. We'll look at adding on to those programs, but people should call my office and we'll guide them accordingly.
Perfect. We need those resources. So we'll basically provide the phone number for our guys and make sure the constituents know to call the office. Thank you very much, Mr. Weber, for coming in here with us and spending the time. Thank you. This is why this man has been endorsed by all the unions around here, and we need to support that guy on November 5th. Thank you very much. Have a great one.
Thank you.
All right.